So this is my vlog. First I want to start off with the MDT. So the MDT is right before the IEP, and in the MDT you're gonna find the special education teacher, the speech path. We had a coordinator at ours, which was really interesting. We had a teacher on special assignment, which was our gen ed teacher because the student does not go into the classroom. And then we had a school psych. And what happens in the MDT is really like the formal assessments that they gave that child and where that student fell and how that student, where they see that student. They also give mom one beforehand, so they kind of look over mom's answers compared to the special education teachers' answers, or school psych, school speech, and they kind of compare about like, oh well, he does this here, or they do this here, but they're not doing this here. So I thought that was really interesting. They also discussed skill-based things. So like, can this child put on his clothes by himself? Can he go to the bathroom by himself? Can he write his name? Things like that, which I thought was really, really interesting. And then it kind of like led into our IEP. So that's my next one I wanted to talk about, was the IEP. So the IEP is, a individualized education like plan of what's going to be happening. Something really interesting about my student is, or this student, was that this student, the end of last year, went leaps and bounds at the first semester, and then got really sick second semester, so he missed a lot of school. So what ended up happening was this year they finally got him to where he was at the end, or at the beginning of the year last year where he started. And that's pretty big for him, or for them, not going to school for X amount of months. So they came up with goals. The family owns a business, so there's a lot of skill-based things that the mom wants him to work on, to kind of help out in the restaurant, and kind of going from there. One thing that the coordinator really helped with was the next part of like what's in an IEP, which is called the transition plan, which I've never really seen done. But in the transition plan, basically the mom, or who was there, which was the mom or the parent, kind of comes up with where they see their child after high school. And in this case, this student was going till 21. So they kind of just talked about, some different options that they had for their transition plan. They kind of talked about how, it is, this child is in middle school, but it's not too late to start thinking about it since he had hit a certain age, about what was going to be happening after, after that 21, where they kind of saw, where the mom kind of saw where that child would be, or where she thought this child would be going. And then the next thing I want to talk about is formal assessments. So I saw the KTEA-3, and this was an assessment that if you got 4 in a row wrong, then it was done. And I saw this done on a student for math, reading, writing, and I think that was it, just those 3. And like for the math portion, this student I think went all the way up to like 75 questions, because he would get 3 wrong and the 4th he would get right, and he'd go 3 in a row and then he'd get the 4th one right. So it was just really interesting to see how, like, yeah, they got 3 but they didn't get 4, so they keep on going, so it betters their score. And I just thought that was really interesting to see. Also the data behind that is really interesting, of what is seen through that test, even if they got 3 wrong. I thought that was really interesting to see. And informal assessments, I've seen lots of teacher-based interviews the students. So for one, we actually, one of my teachers gave a student a transition plan of where she thought she was gonna be after high school. So it was just interesting from it coming from a teacher also of, you know, like, where do you see yourself? What interests you about XYZ, or why do you want to do this? Kind of asking them questions and like getting their interest a little bit. But yeah, I really loved my time in the classroom and I thought it was very beneficial. But yeah, these are my 5, if you count the transition plan, things that I saw in the classroom.